Good day, people of God. I hope everyone is doing amazing. The Lord is good. He's the God of yesterday, today, and forevermore. My name is Lilian Masomatolane, and welcome to another episode of Hashtag Kinse Kimomarening. As we are heading to the end of our program, I want to believe that whatsoever that we anticipated, either our goals or having to strengthen our moment and relationship with Christ, has finally come. And mostly, we are crossing with it to 2025. And remember the theme of this year is having to continuously do that we're doing in hashtag and Zimmerman even into the next year. As you have seen the power of habits, the power of having to build a foundation, I want to believe that this was definitely to build a foundation to where you're going into 2025. On that note, today's message is do not be afraid and do not go silent because the Lord is with you. So, into today's video, we're going to take our reading from Acts chapter 18, from verse 9 to 10. And I am going to read the New King James but displaying NIV on the screen. It says, Now the Lord spoke to Paul in the night by vision. Do not be afraid, but speak and do not be silent. Verse 10, For I am with you, and no one will attack you to hurt you, for I have many people in this city. Before we proceed, excuse me for the nature background. I am in the village, and this is where I just get to make the videos more clear and audible. Now, back to the word of the day. Why did the Lord seek us from Acts chapter 18, verse 9 to 10? Why did the Lord remind us that we shouldn't be afraid? Why did He seek us to not be afraid? I think He understood that oftentimes there are things that is around us in the world that influence us to be fearful. He did understand that this fear is inevitable because if we could just look away out of it, then He could have not taught us not to be afraid. It was nothing that should be concerning us. He could have not even told us to not be afraid, but He needed to remind us that He is with us and we should not be afraid. Why is that important? As I've been having my time with the Lord and reading the Bible, I realized fear, especially as we're crossing to the next year. Fear has its tendency of making you powerless. It has a tendency of caging you to not progress and to not reclaiming your opportunity. It has a tendency to diminish the best version of you. And why is that? What causes fear? I, upon my own observation and the journey with the Lord, I did realize that fear is influenced by our past experiences. Fear is false experiences appearing real. There are those that has happened to us or happened to our loved ones that we see that we tend to envision them and make them our story. So fear is a spirit that disrupts opportunities and dreams for coming true. When you are fearful, you're in prison. You're in a cage that makes you not to see the other beauty of the world, but only shows you the dark side of it because of the bad experiences or just the experiences that we have went throughout our lives. What if I don't progress when I stay really close to the Lord? What if I don't get married early? What if I fail at school because throughout this time I have been using motive for others? What if I don't become whatever I want? What if I'm determined to have a boring life so that I save souls? So fear is that which that stops you to become who you are. As you're going to the year of 2025, that you should be very careful about so that they do not disrupt our moment with Christ and growing up in Christ. Also, that blocks us from having to continuously be into the Lord, having to pray and read the Bible, not to just only do that in hashtag Kensei Momorening. So, what then does the Lord say about this? And the Bible in Acts chapter 18, verse 9, it tells us that do not be silent, begin to speak. Fear from our past experiences tends to tell us, who are you to come here and teach us about fornication or to teach us about drugs when you're the one who are actually in it? That we're with you. You want to venture into a business, but you're afraid that this is the same business that you're bad mouthing to your friends. Now they're going to be surprised to see what has changed in you because you're the one that was bad mouthing the business. That one is fear of your mistakes, the fear of a certain pattern in your life that tells you, now this is how you used to be. How then can you come before the Lord and have a personal relationship with Him when you are like this? This time around, tables have changed. You need to tell the situation, those before mistakes, that this time around, I am doing it with the Lord. That this time around, the Lord is with me. I'm no longer depending on my own strength, but the Lord is with me. He is my strength. If you can look at the book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 10 to 11, it tells us that no one is perfect, no one is righteous. In fact, Him, the Lord, is the only one that is good, not us. We are held by the Holy Spirit. The goodness, the righteousness that comes from us is not from within us because we are sinners. It tells us that we are all sinners. There is absolutely no one who is good. Only He, the Lord, is. So why one way that we should tackle fear is having to do things with Him this time around, is having to include Him, is having to know that He is with you. And do not be afraid, do not go silent. The Lord is there with you. We want to now starting to go to church and having a personal relationship with God and having a guidance how to actually reconnect again with God. But your friends are not going to church. You are afraid because you used to do things together. If that friend is not going to join you, in fact, if that is the real friend, then he or she would have to join you or will have to come along with you and support you. If that friendship was not genuine, ties would have to be cut. Then what profits you to have to stay in the moment that lacks you peace and be in the moment that derives your peace, that suffers you, only because your friends are having to look at it the bad way, only because your family are going to look at it the bad way, only just because also you're just having this vision in you that is telling you otherwise. How then are we going to elevate and do the purpose that God has assigned us to do? This is why the Bible in Second Timothy chapter 1 verse 6 to 7, it tells us, therefore, I remind you to stir up the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and sound mind. Watch, watch how verse 6 is communicating. It say, I am reminding you to stir up the gift of God that is in you. So the Lord is reminding us as if this is something that we know, like you have to go to church, like you want to create a relationship with Christ, like you have a goal that you should actually achieve. So he's reminding you to stir the gift that you know that the Lord has entrusted you with, the purpose that God has set for you in this world. Stir it up. And for you to do it, he says in verse 7, for you have no spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and self-mind. Tell me why the Lord has to associate the gift that God has entrusted you with the spirit of fear. So there's a spirit that tends to diminish God has entrusted you with inside of you, which is fear, the spirit of fear. And you can realize this is a spirit. So it needs to be confronted in a spiritual way. There's no how you can talk to fear and just when you are in just in the physical. So you need to upgrade as you want to have a moment with Christ, as you want to develop that strong relationship with Christ. So you need to go and travel into the spirit so that you can confront the spirit of fear. And I was listening to my father and the Lord when he's actually explaining about the spirit of fear. He said the reason why fear, when the Lord was associating fear with you not having the spirit of fear, but having of power, of love and sound mind. He said that's because when you are fearful, you become powerless. You don't have power at all. The moment fear gets into you, power is derived away from you. That really hit into my mind. I realized that's the reason why we are reminded to step the gift that is in us. That's because when we become powerless, the gift in us tends to just diminish. It's like it's not no longer there. You tend to forget about it. And also we are given love, the spirit of love and sound mind. Love because the moment when you just become afraid, you tend to think of yourself low and not be able to love yourself fully. And in as much as you cannot love yourself, you can love the next person. You also tend to hallucinate. You also tend to envision strange things into your mind. A lot of what if that comes to your mind that create stories that are upright and make you believe them. But the Lord is reminding you today that stir up that gift. Do not be silent. Do not quit. Do not be afraid because I am with you. He said, I have given you the spirit of power. Use it. Know that I have power. So walking into 2025, know that I have power. I have power to do whatsoever I set for my table. I have power to do anything that the Lord has set for me. The Lord has given you power, has given you the mind to be able to reason, calculate by the Spirit of the Lord that which is the right and wrong for you. So today, I just want to remind you, you do not have the spirit of fear, but of power. Keep on speaking if it demands you to speak. Keep on winning souls if that what your ministry is. In fact, every Christian ministry is in winning souls. Keep sharing your testimony to your friends, your family, and share the goodness of the Lord. That gift that the Lord has entrusted you with can make a whole lot of difference. Do not give up. The world is waiting eagerly for your manifestation. So this is all I have for you today. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord bless His word and bless you guys. This is all that I had for you today. See you in the next video.